Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Sanjay. We can listen to you.
Okay.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. This is Bhashit from Null Ahmedabad. So, it's Sunday morning, and welcome everyone to Null Ahmedabad monthly meetup. So, our today's schedule is Sanjay will be speaking on padding oracle attack, right? So, let's get started, right? Sanjay, to you.
Okay. Okay. So let me share my screen. Can you confirm that you are able to see my screen?
We cannot right now.
Okay. Just a minute. Now.
Yes,
So are you
now.
able to see my screen now?
Yes, now.
Okay. Fine. So let me just start the presentation. Are you able to see the presentation now? Hello.
It is visible now.
Okay. Fine. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Today I'll be presenting working of padding oracle. So we will discuss the process and the exploit how the padding oracle attack is works. Okay, so in the penetration testing we usually use pad buster, but we don't know how it's working, right? So um, I'll just show you the steps how this padding oracle is working, right, under the hood. So the agenda will be, first we will see the cryptography, what is cryptography, and then we will see what is block cipher mode. Then we will straight away move to the padding oracle, and then I'll show you the steps and the demo of the working of padding oracle. Okay, so it's little bit fast. You may feel that it's a little bit fast, but I have to cover too much, so let me just speed up. So a little bit about me. So I'm currently working as a senior security consultant at Not So Secure and having a 8+ years of experience in information technology. You can direct message me to this LinkedIn or Twitter handle. And if you want to know about my research and everything, you can always go to my personal website. So before moving to the cryptography, these are the common words that you usually heard during this testing, right? The hashing, encoding, and encryption. So the basic difference between the hashing, encoding, and the encryption is hashing is used to validate the integrity of data, right? So whenever you provide the plain text, hashing is something the one-way function. So it will generate some ciphertext based on the plain text and send it to the receiver along with the plain text data. So receiver always can verify whether the hash value is correct or not, and by doing that it will receiver will validate the integrity of the data, right? Another thing is the encoding. It's used to convert data from one format to the another format. Usually we see that the base 64 format, right? The encryption is the process to maintain the confidentiality of data, right, by converting the data into the undecipherable format. cryptography. So its method to protect the information which is communicate over the internet, right? And there are two types of cryptography. One is the symmetric cryptography, and the other was the asymmetric key cryptography, which is also known as the public key cryptography. So this is a standard process of symmetric key cryptography where the two party Alice and Bob have shared the single secret key, right? They both share the single secret key, and whenever they want to communicate with each other, they will encrypt the data using this secret key, and other party will decrypt the data using the same secret key and can able to get the plaintext data. Public key cryptography, which have a two use case. One is the encryption and used for the encryption and decryption, and the other use case is used for the sign and verify. It's basically the authenticity, right? So for the encryption and decryption purpose, there are two party, Alice and Bob. Suppose let's say Bob want to send some data to the Alice, right? So what will Bob will first fetch the public key of Alice, which is generally known to everyone. So he will encrypt the data using Alice public key and send the data. Now Alice has his private key, so he is only able to decrypt the data and able to fetch the plain text from that, right? Another use case is of the symmetric key cryptography is sign in verify, basically the authenticity. So whenever it's basically used in the digital signature, right, on the documentation. So if Alice want to send some document to the Bob, so what he will do, he will use his private key to sign the particular document and send it to the Bob, right? So Bob can, so anyone can verify whether the particular document is signed by Alice or not using his public key. So these are the common use case of the symmetric key cryptography, right? Now let's just move to the block cipher mode of the operation. So it's an algorithm which uses a deterministic algorithm operating on the fixed length group of bits, and that is called block. So block cipher mode always works on the block. So whenever we provide the plaintext data, it will convert that into the block and then perform the operation to provide the confidentiality or the authenticity. So these are the types of block cipher modes: CBC, ECB, CFB, OFB, and CTR. For the padding oracle attack, we will just deep dive into the CBC mode because the padding oracle attack is vulnerable. The CBC mode is vulnerable to padding oracle attack. So this is the standard encryption process of the CBC mode. Let me just, okay. So this is the standard encryption process of the CBC mode, which is held on the server side, right? So whenever server wants to encrypt some data, it will first create the whole plaintext data to the block, right? So this is our first block. Then there is the initialization vector and the encryption key. Okay, so whenever the server wants to encrypt the data, right, so it will first operation that is performed is the initialization vector XORed with the plaintext data, and whatever the output is come, it will encrypt the data using this encryption key and generate the ciphertext from that, right? And this ciphertext value is the input for the next block. So the initialization vector is only used for the first block, not for the remaining one. And this process goes on, right? And this is the standard decryption process of the CBC mode. So it actually start from the at last, right? So whenever we provide the ciphertext data, it will first convert it into the block, and it will fetch the last block first to try to decrypt it, right? So whenever it convert it into block, it will first decrypt using the key, encryption key, and generates the intermediate state, and then it will XOR with the previous block ciphertext, and by doing that we are able to fetch the plaintext data from that, right? And this process goes from here to here, and the last block is XORed with the initialization vector, and we are able to fetch the whole plain text block from our ciphertext value. So I'll give you a demo of each and every process, right, later on. So these are the terminology that is used in the padding oracle or the CBC mode encryption process, and that is intermediate state key. The encryption key we already seen. The initialization vector also we have seen. The ciphertext value we have also seen, and the plain text value we have also seen that. So now the two terms that we have to understand is intermediate state and the padding. So the intermediate state is nothing but whenever the ciphertext value try to decrypt to the plain text, it will first decrypt using the key, right? So whatever the value is retrieved, that is called intermediate state. Okay. So now padding. So padding is very important or crucial process in the cipher mode, right? So whenever you provide the data, it will append the padding, and by doing that, the Oracle system can understand that this is the last block. Okay, so if there is a block size of 8 and you provide a fig, and then it will automatically append the padding as 05050505 because there is a 5 byte is empty in the particular block. Okay, so if there is a 2 byte is empty in the particular block, then it will add 0202. If there is a 1 byte is empty in the particular block, it will append 01. Okay, and by providing the plain text value, and if it will fill whole block, then it will append the empty block, and by appending the empty block, the system can understand this is the last block. Okay, so the empty block contains the no data inside the particular block, so it will append 080808 as a padding, right? Same way, suppose there is a plain text value which requires to divide into the two block, then the first block will contains the value passion, and then this next block contains the fruit, right? So there are four positions that are empty, so the padding will add as a 040404. Okay, so this is the concept of padding. So padding, the Oracle word, there is no relation with the Oracle company. Okay, so the Oracle is the system that provide information such as bad padding or a good padding. And this padding Oracle attacks works against only the CBC mode cipher with PKCS mode padding enabled. So now let's jump to the actual attack. Okay, so let me just move to the demo application. Okay, so just for the demo purpose, I'm just use the demo application that we are generally used in our course Advanced Web Hacking. Let me just open that. Okay, so here is the functionality to add the support ticket. Okay, so let me just add one of the support ticket. Sample support, sample support. So when I upload, the upload is successful and it said ticket read successfully. So let's just view the support ticket data. Okay, so when we click on this, it will, you can see it will add another record, and that is our newly added file. So when I click on this file, it will just pop up the data, and if you see the response, so there is some token that is retrieved from the server side, right? and this particular token is used in the next request to load the information for that particular file. Okay, so the file content is support sample support ticket file and some token. Okay, so if we modify this, or let me just remove some of the bytes from here. So it states that the input data is not a complete block. That means the token is not valid. But if we modify this, it says that padding is invalid and cannot be removed. So that means the application give us the error message or throw an exception when based on the ciphertext value it will not able to generate the plaintext value, or the Oracle system will not identify the valid padding from the ciphertext value. Okay, so now we know that the application throw the error message if the Oracle system did not identify the valid padding value, and that is padding is invalid and cannot be removed. Okay, okay, so I'll just replace the BC1 to 00, and it says that padding is invalid and cannot be removed. So for the simplicity, I'm just remove this token and use the existing system because I want to show you the exact process using the diagram. Okay, so let me just use the existing token, existing valid token. Okay, so by using that token we are able to fetch the content of that file. So the challenge is to access the file at id is equal to 0. So if we straight away modify this, we are not able to capture the file. It says that file not found. So let's just try to decrypt this particular ciphertext, what's inside that. But at the client end, it's not possible to decrypt without the initialization vector or the encryption key. But using the padding oracle vulnerability, we can do that. Okay. So the in the padding oracle or the CBC mode cipher, these are the two types of implementation where the IV is included so IV can be added in this particular block ciphertext block itself, or the IV is static at the client end. So for the demo, for this particular exercise, we are using the static IV. Okay, let me just show you this into the code. So you can see we are using this static IV instead of generating and adding that into the ciphertext block. So using the padding oracle attack, we can do two things. We can decrypt the data, the ciphertext data, or we can encrypt any arbitrary plaintext data and send it to the server, and server can decrypt it. Okay, so we can encrypt the arbitrary data without key. So let's just deep dive into the working of the padding oracle attack, that is the decryption process. Okay, so I have just divided whole ciphertext value into the blocks. So the the block can be of 8 byte, 16 byte, or the 32 byte. Okay, you can do trial and error and can identify the block size. So I know that the backend application uses the block size of 16. So to save the time, I'm using the 16 byte block size. Okay, so I've just converted whole block into the 32 character block. Why I have created that into the 32 character? Because to represent the single byte in the hex format, it requires to represent into the two character. Okay, from 00 to 255 or 00 to 00 to FF. So I've just divided whole block, this particular cipher text into the 3 block. Let me just copy this. Okay. And convert this into the 32 characters. So, okay. So our first block is BC. Start with the BC77 and ends with C54E. Second block 0A6 and ends with C1B0. Okay. So I did the same thing. So whenever the decryption process start at the server, and this is the typical diagram, what the server will do. Server will first divide whole ciphertext block into the all ciphertext data into the blocks C1, C2, C3. Okay, and whenever when server wants to decrypt the C3, it will first decrypt that particular block using the encryption key and generate the intermediate state, and that is I3. Okay, and then it will XOR with the previous block, and that is C2, and by doing that server will able to, or the Oracle system will able to generate the plain text from the ciphertext. Okay, so for the previous slide, let me show you the process. So I've just created the script for each and every step. Okay, clear cd code cd decrypt. So for the first step, let me just divide the whole ciphertext value to the blocks. Okay, by side, let me just show you the code also. So I'm using the Python code. So it's basically send the request and extract the token from the request and display it. Okay, so the Python 3 1.py. Okay, so it just extracted the token. Okay, and as I have mentioned previously, we are using the existing token for the to understand the process equivalent to the diagram. Okay, so for that I have just divided the ciphertext into the blocks. So let's just do that. Python 3 2.py. So it has just divided the whole ciphertext value into the block. Okay, so in order to decrypt this C3 block, let's just take one random block, that is C dash. For the time being, let's put aside C2 block. Okay, so I'm just taking the random block as 000. You can take any value. You can take 414141. You can take 424242, whatever you like in the hex format. Okay, so from the previous step, I've just captured the C3 and create new blocks, that is C dash. So I do not at the client end, I'm not aware about the encryption key and the plain text value. Okay, so now let's just start the decryption process without key at client end. Okay, so in order to do that, we have to use the brute force approach and try to decrypt the last bit of that particular block. So for to do that, we have to run the loop from 0 to 255 because it's a possible value of hex from 00 to ff, right? So we have to do that, and you can see when we send this request from 0 to 255, the server will generate the valid padding 01 for the last block when c dash is equal to b6. So let's just understand it using the code. Okay, so you can see, so it will start sending request to the server. Okay, with this the block that we have to decrypt and with our random block. with the value 0001 until the last value, until the valid padding is found. Okay, so you can see the server or the Oracle system can find the valid padding when the c-16 is equal to b6. Okay, okay, so server will identify the valid padding. So let's just confirm this in our request. So I just copied it and send this token to the server. So you can see now the Oracle system did not give me an error of valid padding or invalid padding. Sorry, invalid padding. Right. That means this particular last bit is we have brute force correctly. So if we change this to something else, it says that padding is invalid. Right. That means Oracle system did not identify the valid padding for that particular block. So now let's just move to the second last byte. Okay, so before moving to the second last byte, first we have to
Hello.
convert. Yes,
Hello. I'm
hello.
sorry to interrupt, but I think we are unable to listen to you.
Okay, just a minute. Are you able to listen now? Hello, hello. Can anyone confirm that am I audible or not? Hello, hello. Can anyone confirm that am I audible or not? Okay, thank you. So before moving further, first, if we want to crack the second last byte, then we have to make the second last byte to 02. Sorry, the the last byte of the plain text needs to be 02. Then and then only we can generate the valid padding uh, for the second last byte. Okay, so in order to do that, we have just cracked it as a b6. So in order to do that, first we need to XOR the same value with the value that we have found, right? So the value where we have found is b6. So let's just XOR the same value with the value that we have found. So it will generate 0. Okay, then again we have to XOR this value with the 02. So it will generate 02. That means we need to perform two operations. First, we have to XOR the same value, and then we have to XOR the value that we have obtained with the 02. Okay, okay, so let's just do that in the 4.py. Okay, So it again start sending the request, and it's the same process that we have performed in the above step. Okay, so we are able to identify the last block as B6, but if you want to crack the second last byte, then we have to XOR the same value with that we have obtained is B6, and then we again XOR it with to the 02, and by doing that we are obtain the block C dash block is at last is B5. So let's just move ahead. So you can see when we try to brute force the second last byte from 0 to 255, we are able to identify the valid value for that bytes, and that is C4. And for this particular block, if we send this particular block ends with C4 B5, the padding oracle the oracle system will generate the valid padding 0202. Okay, so let me just run 5.py. So to crack the each and every byte, we need to run the loop from 0 to 255. Okay, okay, so you can see that the padding oracle system will identify the valid padding 0202 if we send this particular block. You can see now the oracle system will not give us an error, that is invalid padding. But if we modify this, we are able to get the padding oracle error. So by following the same step that we have earlier followed, in order to crack the third last byte, this byte, okay, we need to make this last two bytes to 0303. Okay, and to do that we have to XOR this particular value, oh, sorry, XOR this particular value to same value, so we are able to obtain 000, and then again we have to XOR it with the 03, and by following this operation we are able to obtain the value 0303 when padding the oracle system decrypt the data, right? So let's just do that. C4B5. Okay, C4B5. XOR with 0202. So whatever the value we obtained, we have to again XOR it with 0303. By doing that, we are able to get the data C5B4. So in order to crack the third last byte, we have to send the block which ends with C5B4, which in the 6.py. Okay, so now let's just crack the third last byte. So now I'm continuously sending the request to crack the third last byte. So it's take some time. Okay. Okay, let me just, in order to crack the third last byte, we need to run this event.py. Sorry. Okay. So you can identify that, we can identify that for this third last byte, the Oracle system generate the valid padding. So if we send this block to the Oracle system, it will not give us the error of invalid padding, but it will throw some other errors, and that is application level errors. So by following this particular method again and again, at last we are able to crack the whole block of the 16 bytes, and for that our padding is 101010, and that is empty padding, right? So let me just run this particular process. So it's try to brute force the whole block, the CDS block. So you can see this many requests sent to the server in order to crack the cipher text that we have discovered for the particular block. Okay. So let's just run this process. It's taking time. So eventually it will generate this CDS block. Okay. That's the process of the egg.py. Uh, Now we have two equation. One is that we have discovered using the CDS block. We have brute force the whole block from 000 to our the actual final block, and for that C3 value is from the our actual plain text from our actual cipher text value and CDS that we have discovered, right? And for that we know that the plain text value for that is 101010, because that's how it's working, right? And the another equation is that from the original ciphertext value. Okay. So this is the original equation. Okay. C3, and it will be decrypt using the C2. Okay. So this is the another equation. Sorry. So you can see now we do not have a knowledge of encryption key. Okay. But we have a knowledge of C3, the last ciphertext block, C dash that we have discovered using the brute force approach. Okay. P dash 3, that we know that when we supply CDES and P3 C3 to the Oracle system, it will definitely generate this particular plaintext block. Okay, and from the original block we know that while supplying C2 and CT along with C3, we are not able to get we are not aware about the P3. Okay, but using the combination of CDES, C3 and PDES3, we can identify the intermediate state, right? So let's just compare this two diagram. So the P3 is equal to nothing but, let me just use the pen highlighter. So the P3 is equal to nothing but the XORed with I3 and C2. Okay, so this is the equation, the first equation that we have discovered, and I3 is equal to nothing but P dash 3 and the C dash. So this is the second equation that we have discovered. So while substituting I3 value in our first equation, P3 is equal to C2 XORed with P dash 3 and I3. Okay, so by supplying this, we are able to decrypt the information that is supplied in ciphertext, and that is anonymous and valid padding. Okay, so let's just crack this using 10.py. Oh, this process taking too much time. So let's just run that in the background because we have a time limitation. Okay, so by supplying this particular equation or substituting the value of I3, we can identify the plain text from the ciphertext. So same thing we can do with the second block and the first block, right? And we are able to capture the plain text from the ciphertext at the client end only without the knowledge of encryption key. Okay, so this is by C1, C2, C3, and by implementing that particular following this particular process, we are able to decrypt this particular information. Okay, so by first P1 is some garbage value because we are using the static IV and we do not have a IV knowledge, right? So in the decryption process, if I want to decrypt the particular block, I must have the knowledge of the previous block. Okay, so the for first ciphertext value, we do not have a knowledge of the initialization vector, right? So we are not able to decrypt it. The second block is some integer value, and there is something user is equal to an, and the last block is anonymous, right? And some valid padding. So in order to bypass this, now we have a data, and that is user is equal to anonymous, right? So whenever the user ID is anonymous, the file that is at ID 0, it's not accessible. So what we have to do, okay, so what we have to do, we just have to replace this with the admin, right? So what we have to do is, let's just keep first and second block as it is. So the second block is this 51094, 51094 user an. So now we have to do the second attack, and that is encrypt our arbitrary data, right? So to do that, we have to create another block, and that is user is equal to admin, right? It's a JSON data, so we have to follow the JSON syntax. Okay, so our second last block is uh, complete the previous attribute and then create again the new attribute and with the value admin. And in the when JSON pass this data, it will usually take the second attribute if there is a duplicate attribute inside the data, right? With the ending JSON syntax. So we have to arbitrarily encrypt two block. One is this and another one is the empty value with padding of the 15-byte padding, right? So let's just do that. So just create the hex from this, and it's 222 up to 27, and the hex value of curly braces is d0, and the remaining is the padding, because Oracle system can validate data if there is a valid padding of that at the end, right? So let's just create the ciphertext, or the let's just create the encrypt data arbitrary plain text for this particular last block, and that is 7D000F0F0F0F. So in order to do that, let's just take two random block. Cn is equal to 414141 and c dash is equal to 000, right? So everything is unknown to us, whether it's a intermediate state or the p dash n. So by following the same approach, that is brute force, we are able to retrieve or create this block from when the Cn is equal to 4141, right? And at that time, the p dash n is equal to 1010. So now we have to encrypt our arbitrary data, right? Or we have to encrypt our plain text data. So whenever we send the ciphertext value to the Oracle system, we require that the intended output or the plain text output will be of our choice. Okay, so in order to do that, first what we have to do, we have to XOR the same value, so it will become the 00. Then we have to XOR 00 with our arbitrary data, and that is 7D0F0F0F. And by doing that, we are able to obtain p dash n is equal to 7D0F0F0F, right? So there is a rule in XOR operation. If you write A XOR with B XOR with C, it's same as, so you can use XOR operation interchangeably. Okay, so whatever the operation that we have performed over here, if we perform add on the C dash block, okay, so it will generate the intended output at the p dash n of our choice. So by supplying this is our block. We first XORed this with the 0 10 10 10. So whatever the output with that we obtain, if we send this to the server, Oracle system will generate 000 as a padding. If we again XORed with this CD 7D0F0F0F, then whatever the output it will generate for the CDS block, if we send this to the Oracle system, it will whenever it try to decrypt the data, the PDSN will generate of our choice. Okay, same thing for the second last block, and that is our ending attribute, comma, user is equal to admin, right? So again, same operation, whatever the CDS block that we have identified XORed with the 1010, okay, and then XORed with our arbitrary data, right? So it will generate this particular block. So let's just try to exploit it. Okay. So as I mentioned the process, I've just taken the block 4141 as a random block and now try to identify our CDS block using the brute force approach. Okay, it's taking time. So give me some time, it's taking time, the process taking time. Okay. Okay, just a minute, let me just restart the application. So net manager. Okay, now it's working fine. So we are able to crack the last block and we are able to generate the CDS and then padding and arbitrary plain text, and that is starting with CD1 CD57 and ending with FA88. So now it's trying to brute force the Okay, let's just run the process. So it's done now, right? So the second for the second last block, it's C4 7C and ending with CC 0F. So now we have to create the final block. For that, we have to capture first two block from the original token because we do not have the knowledge of the initialization vector, right? So if we are not use this particular two block, it will not generate the valid JSON data. Okay, and the last three block is of that we have generated uh, in the previous process. Okay, so let me just copy this. Okay, two block from the actual token and the third block and the last block that we have generated in the previous tab and the random block that we have taken. So if we send this, you can see now we are able to grab the file or the file content from using this particular token where the role is equal to admin. Okay, so using the padding oracle, using the padding oracle attack, we can do two things. We can decrypt the ciphertext value without knowing the encryption key, and we can encrypt the plain text data. That's it. uh, any question? Hello,
Hello.
any question? So
So
it's
I
a
cannot
pretty
see
complex
anything.
attack. Hello, yes.
Yeah. So basically, there are no questions on YouTube. I feel you were sharing something.
Yeah, so it's a pretty complex attack. um, Believe me, to understand this particular process or to understand this attack, I require the 7 days of continuous research. So that might be possible that you cannot grab it into the 1 hour. So feel free to do the hands-on at your end and try to understand this particular attack. I have also written the blog on this particular attack. So it's a basically a graphical representation, so you can understand the process easily.
Right. So you'll be uploading this presentation, and if there is any lab or something like that to share with everyone, it'll be great.
Okay, I'll share the lab some of the demo application that is built on Node. I will share this.
Okay, that will be great. Yeah. So what we'll do is maybe you can add this in your PPT at the end, and then we can upload. And once it has been uploaded, and once someone is going through the PPT, they can go to the lab, or maybe they can download the lab and they can do some hands-on stuff with it. and then
Sure.
simultaneously go through the video as well as the presentation. So I think this will be more effective,
Sure. Sure.
right? Okay, okay. So I don't feel there's any questions further. Sanjay, anything
Okay.
else you would like to share, or anything else from your end?
No, that's it from my end.
Okay, so I'm removing your screen from the stream.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so thank you so much, Sanjay. Um,
Thank you, everyone.
we have,
Thank you, Vasu.
yes, yes, yes. So we have Mithil coming up next, up with web cage poisoning, followed by quiz by Kuldeep and Pooja. Okay. So let me add Mithul. Mithul, hope you are ready.
Yes, I am ready. Okay,
Hello,
am I
Mithul, you
audible?
there?
Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen first of all. Okay, so I think everybody can see my screen, I guess. Can everybody see my screen? Hello. Hello.
We can see your screen now, Mithul.
Okay. Okay. So let's begin. This topic is introduction to webcast poisoning. Uh, Previously, it was conducted by Kuldeep, and I'm again conducting the same session, but with something different. Okay, so am I audible? I'm making confirming it once again. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Uh, can you can you repeat again?
Uh, I'm saying, am I audible?
You are audible.
Okay, so what I was trying to say that this session was previously conducted by Kuldeep, and now I'm trying to add some my flavor in it. So let's start this session. The topic is web cache poisoning. Who am I first of all? So my name is Mitul Patel, aka Agora. That's what I call myself. Uh, I'm a security analyst at University Cyber Forensics. Apart from that, I'm a part-time bug bounty hunter, CH, a DevOps, and that's who I am. So uh, during this session, uh, this is the agenda that we will first try to understand what is caching. Then in this introduction part, then we will try to understand why there is a need of caching. Then what is web cache poisoning, how it works, the methodology, types of web cache poisoning, and after that there will be a demo. Then uh, we will come to know that how to defend it, and some Q&A and some references. So let's come to the introduction. So as we can see that what is caching first of all. So it's like if I try to explain it in very simple words, then caching is like remembering something for certain period of time. So, let me read the statement that it's a process of storing file copies in a cache server for quick access, which means that there is if we look at the infrastructure of any organization, then there is an application server and they put one more server in front of that main application server, which handles the real request. It could be proxy server, some call it cache server. Okay, so it's like that. So while a cache is as per the name, caching is a temporary location to store data and file. So and it can be, it's commonly used for enhancing the performance of the application, such as avoiding the load and all. And apart from that, it actually ensures that the user can access web content when they are offline, and the content could be certain scripts, images, js, or some rich media files and all. Okay, so this is the basic idea of caching. So we can say it's a Amir Khan of Gajni. Simple. It remembers certain things for, or it holds certain media for some amount of time. Then once there is something unique, then it will store it. If the same request, same type of request is coming once again, then it will be delivered to the user directly without letting that request go to the application server. If there is something unique, then it will come in the response. Okay, so now what is web cache poisoning then? So it's an advanced technique whereby an attacker exploits the behavior of a web server and cache so that a harmful HTTP response is served to the other users. Okay, so, and it was represented by James Carroll in Black Hat, USA 2018. So yes, he is the one who actually discovered this issue. I would personally recommend you to visit that video on YouTube of James Carroll. It's really amazing resource I came across. So let's go to the next slide. Now, in this session, we will talk about server-side cache poisoning, because cache servers always remains on the and target side. Okay, so it will be server-side cache poisoning, and there is a difference between web cache poisoning and web cache deception. So the difference is, as I mentioned here, that web cache deception is about tricking caches into storing the sensitive information belonging to users, so an attacker can get access to that information. While web cache poisoning is storing the malicious payload on the cache server, so it will reflect in the response to the other server, to the other users. So it's neither response splitting nor request smuggling. Now, let's try to understand how the web cache poisoning is actually built. So for that, I will directly take you to the diagram I made. Okay, so here's the diagram that as a normal user, we access some resource from over a public internet. The target has a web server and a cache server. Okay, and when as we can see that we are requesting something, we are trying to fetch some resources from the web. So server is responding with the requested resource, and the cache server is storing a local copy of the requested resources and responding with the requested one. So if as a user we will go again and ask for the resource, the same resource, then the cache server will reply, not the web server. Okay, so this is how the web cache is built, and we will exploit this behavior. So this exploitation actually involves two phases. One phase is that the attacker must work out to elicit a response from a backend server that inadvertently contains some kind of dangerous payload. What it's trying to say is that as an attacker, what we'll do is we'll send some malicious request to the for which as we can say we are asking for some resource, but in that request there will be something malicious, to fulfill our goal. So in response, that malicious payload will be stored on cache server. So it won't respond in first response, but when we hit the same request again, it will respond back with the malicious content we just cached or we just stored in the cache server. And what's the impact of this attack? So the impact is it open windows for other numerous attacks such as XSS, JavaScript injection, open redirects, and so on. So the impact basically depends on vision of an attacker. Basically, we can say, because it's new one, not pretty new, not that much new, but yes, it's new. Apart from that, James Kettle also added one more thing, which is advanced version of this web cache poisoning called web cache deception, advanced technique of these attacks. But in this session, we will cover the fundamentals and the basic ones. So you can understand the actual mechanism, the core mechanism of this attack. Okay, so as we said in agenda that there should be some method for this attack. So yes, there is a method. So as an attacker, what you have to do to perform this attack? So first of all, you need to identify the unkeyed input. Okay, so if this term, I know that this term can be like something alien language for first time, because if there are certain new people who don't know about this thing. So hold yourself, hold your questions. I will explain it in upcoming slide. Okay, so what we'll do is we detect unkeyed inputs. Okay, here we explore the input potential using these unkeyed inputs, and for that there is a tool also available, param miner, and also there is a term called random cache buster. Okay, then we inject some payload in that unkeyed input, the founded unkeyed input. Then we map it to the cache. Okay, and then we find the target page, inject into the cache, and it's starting poisoning. So I know I explained very badly, but hold yourself once again. I'm explaining to you. So this is the real explanation how this mechanism works. So first the question is that how does the cache knows that the other users going to ask for the same resource? Okay, because the cache server should be smart enough to handle the entire load. So for that, there is a concept of cache keys, which means let's say that you are holding a book. In book, we have an index, okay, which state that this is chapter number 1 on this page number, this is chapter number 2 on this page number. So the key of cache, the concept of cache key is same like that. The cache server identifies the request based on something unique, which is configured or designed by the developers or designed by the server admin or whoever the guy who set it up. Okay, so what is cache key? Let's come to the definition that a cache key is an index entry that uniquely identifies an object in a cache key. That's what I said, that something unique should be in the request. In other words, it's a certain part of the request. You can customize cache keys by specifying whether to use a query string, okay, or some portion of it, and it is an incoming request to differentiate objects in cache. Okay, so this is a definition what I figured out from the entire research I did on it till yesterday. And by default, the edge server cache contents are based on the entire resource path and query string. What this statement is trying to say that when that's a default setting of cache server, that whenever some request is coming, as per its default behavior, the entire request, actually the resource path and a query string will be used as a cache key. So this is the concept of cache key. So we can say how the index is built. Okay, so now there is one more question then. Is there a way to identify server-side cache? Of course. Before we move on, I would say that if you have good knowledge of headers, HTTP headers, like you actually knows which header do what exactly, or what's the behavior of each header, then definitely you will understand these things uh, in depth. So is there a way to identify, coming back to the point, that is there a way to identify server-side cache? Of course. So these are the response headers I mentioned in the my presentation, that these are the response header, where you can say that, okay, if this header is present in the request, then there are chances of web cache poisoning. You mean you can choose it for further exploitation or for further analysis. Okay, so the headers are cache key control, expires, message, surrogate, etag, pragma, vary, xcache. Okay, so this is what how you identify the server side cache. Okay, now going to the next portion of this session, that as I said, that so there should be something unique in your request, right? So is there a way to identify is there a way to identify it? Of course it is, there is, and it's known as unkeyed input actually. That's what is I mentioned in the methodology, that detect unkeyed input. So by detecting unkeyed input, you are actually trying to identify what is unique, which is not keyed, which, or we can say, what is not present or used in the index. Okay, so is there a way? Yes, it's called identify unkeyed input. For that, so let's come into the definitions again. That unkeyed input are the part of the request that cache ignores, which means not used for indexing. Is there a tool? Yes, paraminer. Again, this tool was released by James Carroll after his I guess during his session on about this topic. And what paraminer does for us, so it actually guesses the unkeyed input for us, possibly present at certain locations in our request. And the locations could be headers, get parameters, cookies, and body parameters. uh, Now drawing your attention to this header part, this part, uh, I mentioned three headers actually: X forwarded host, X forwarded scheme, and X origin. What I found during my study, the research, is that these are the most commonly used headers for exploiting the behavior of these cache servers. For these are like three building blocks which you can use for performing the web cache poisoning as your initial step. If you think if there is nothing coming back to you, then you can go for paraminer. Okay, and there is one more thing, that this attack will require certain manual efforts for sure. Okay, so this was the paraminer will help you to automate the process of caching unkeyed inputs. Now the manual manner. So what is a manual manner? So manual manner, what is a manual manner? So in manual manner, we randomly add some random inputs to request and observe whether or not they're reflecting back in the response, which is known as random cache buster. That's what I mentioned over here. This is the portion for detecting unkeyed input and making your request unique. You need random cache buster, which could be anything like /question mark abc is equal to 1. It could be anything, whatever you want to insert, you can insert it. When I'll come to demo, I'll explain it, and you will be able to understand it in better manner. So in manual portion, first thing is you use random cache buster, and this can be obvious, such as reflecting the input in response directly. Okay, so that's what I said. You can use some tools such as bob comparer to compare the response with and without the injected input. Okay, it's the same one for the same as the above top point I mentioned here. Okay, Now I bolded these two things, so please focus on these 2 points. That when you're testing for unkeyed input on a live website, there is a risk of inadvertently causing the cache to server your generated response to real user, which means that when you are performing this attack on real website or on live target, there are chances that your response which is stored in the cache server pardon sorry, which is stored in the cache server, can impact the other users. So that's why we use the cache buster to avoid that impact. So that's what I mentioned, that therefore it is important to make sure that your requests all have a unique cache key, so that they will be served to you only, not to the other users. Okay, otherwise if you are doing this for work bounty, you will get banned definitely. If the company identifies that you did something for creating a POC, and completely it gone wrong accidentally or intentionally, they will definitely ban you. And to do this, you can manually add a cache buster. Again, that the thing what I said, that some random input. Okay, and now there is second portion, that explore input potential. Okay, so for that, uh, the explore input potential is also known as elicit a harmful response, which means from this section, whatever request we hit will be stored in the cache server. From this from coming back to the diagram, from this section, I'm sorry, after this section, this portion. Okay, so uh, if an input is reflected in the response, so I hope most of you try to exploit the reflector accesses. Okay, what we generally do is we insert certain random input, and we check that, okay, I inserted abc.com or abc here, is it getting reflected back into the response? If it is, then we try to insert a different payloads in it. Okay, so that's the same thing over here, that if it's responding us, or our input is reflecting back in the response from the server, then without being proper, and it's without being properly sanitized, of course, then this is potential entry point for web cache poisoning. So yes, you can, when you are checking for XSS, you can try web cache poisoning as well. But before trying for this, don't forget to check that whether in response there are certain headers, response header like that. If these headers are present, then you guys can check for two things at the same time. One for XSS, and second, that's web cache poisoning. Okay, and the next part is, here we inject into the cache, which means these three blocks are actually explaining us, or demonstrating that by using these two blocks, we cache our malicious response to the cache server. And there's one more thing, I think your eyes coming at, that it's a static safety parameter. We'll commit later. Okay, so as we found that the input is reflected back in the response. For caching our response, we identify the timing when cache expires. This is the most crucial step of this attack. Okay, so as I told you that caching is Amir Khan and Gajni. So at certain amount of time, definitely it will refresh itself, it will flush everything which what it hold. Okay, so when you are performing this attack, you have to look at in response, that the in response for the max edge, this is the header which can help you to identify that when the cache is flushing all the things, whatever it hold, whatever is stored, it will be flushed after the mentioned message in the response. Okay, so when the cache plus everything, the cache server plus everything, the at the next moment, very next moment, you hit the server, you hit the target with your malicious request. So what will happen is that as everything is washed up and the new request is coming, so as a cache server, what I'll do is I will take that request as a unique one, forward it to the application server, and in return, what I'll do is I will store that response, that malicious response, of and then I will send the response to the to you. And whenever there are users who is trying to fetch the same resources, I will return them the cached response. Your malicious response will be sold to you. Apart from them, the users who are looking for the same resource. Okay, so this is the entire scenario of web cache poisoning, how it works, the basic, or we can say the core one. Okay, and let's come to the types of web cache poisoning. So there are these are the types James mentioned during his session in Black Hat USA 2018. Okay, so these all are noted down from that session. So it's selective poisoning, DOM poisoning, root poisoning, hidden root poisoning, resource hijacking, open graph hijacking. Okay, it's a protocol by Facebook. Cross cloud poisoning, external cache poisoning, internal cache poisoning, poisoning caches with caches. Okay, so one thing I want to make clear that we will try to understand certain scenarios, not the types of web cache poisoning, but eventually we will hit some types. Okay, because this topic is pretty new for me, but still I'm trying to deliver the best I can. Okay, so it's demo time, of course. So in demo, uh, before 2 to 3 days, there is one more uh, type of flow under the web cache poisoning is included by the Potswiggle lab, which is design flows and implementation flow. So I worked on design flow, and so here these are the scenarios we will use to understand the web cache poisoning in terms of designing flow only. The implementation flow, if I'm including the implementation flow, then it will stretch out the session, and it will be too much to digest in one day. Actually, it will be too much, because I know how much time I spend in it. So we'll understand these scenarios, that web cache poisoning with unkeyed header, with unkeyed cookie, via other resources and multiple headers, using an unkeyed header, and to exploit a DOM vulnerability, which will be actually DOM poisoning. The unkeyed header will come under the selective poisoning, I guess. And let's see what other we can do. So demo time. Let me share you the screen of my the entire screen I would like to share. So just hold yourself. I'm sharing my screen. There. I hope my entire screen is visible, right? Can anybody please confirm? Hello? Please confirm if my screen is, the entire screen is visible. Hello?
Yes, Mithul, your screen is visible.
Okay, so it's demo time. So let's come to it. So this is the Potswiggle lab for exploiting the design flaws. Okay, and I have created a complete new account for it. Okay, so the first scenario is we'll use web cache poisoning to deliver an XSS attack. Okay, so just keeping this theory, because I hope we all know the basics of exploiting reflected accesses or stored accesses, whatever it is. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm opening it in a new tab, web cache poisoning with git header, and let me duplicate this tab in case if there is some issue, then we can handle it. Okay, so the challenge is the lab is vulnerable to web cache poisoning because it handles input from an unkeyed header in an unsafe way. The user visits the homepage roughly once every minute. To solve this lab, poison the cache with a response that executes alert document.cookie in visitor's browser. Okay, so we have already the Podswig already provided us the malicious payload we have to use for solving this lab, and also they mentioned that the problem is in header. Okay, so let's access the lab. Sorry. It's taking too much time. What is all? Okay, we are here with her lab. This is the domain name. Let me just verify. Okay, it is. Okay, so here we will try to exploit the web cache poisoning using the unkeyed input in header. Okay, so what I told you during my presentation that there are three headers which are the basic building block, could play the role of basic building block for exploiting the web cache poisoning. So where are the headers? Just a minute. Okay. These are the headers: X forwarded host, X forwarded scheme, and X origin. So in this process, I will use X forwarded host. Okay. So coming back to the lab, sorry, I'm going to the Bob, and here I'm refreshing the page once again. Going to proxy HTTP history. So this is the home page. As we can see, there is only a single /. So what I'm doing is I'm sending it to the repeater. Okay, the response is perfect. As I told you that there are certain headers in response which can show you that there is a cache server. So these are the headers: the age, the max age, cache control, X cache hit. This X cache hit actually tells us that the response is coming from cache. That's why I refresh the page. Okay, let's come to the first request we made. So let's look at the response. Here, see, it's missing the cache, which means this first response is coming from the actual web server, not from the cache server. But when I refresh the page, send that request to the repeater, it's responding with X cache hit, which means the response is coming from cache server. So as I told you that we will use X forwarded host header to exploit this. So I'm using x.com. Okay, and sending it. Okay, it's missing the cache, which means that this x.com should reflect somewhere. Okay, so x.com. Okay, so as we can see over here that the x.com is present here, which means our input from X forwarded host header is reflecting in our response. Okay, and the resource tracking.js is the same. It's the same thing. So it's not getting changed as I can tell you. See here, if I'm taking the same request, and as I can see, the domain name is present, which means that we can, host something on our malicious server and trick the user, or trick the server to fetch the same response, but the same resource, but with malicious content. Okay, I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say. So x.com is reflecting here, and there is something in our lab that go to exploit server, which means that's the idea with what I just told you. Okay, so what I will do is I'll take the alert.com, my malicious content over here, and I'll replace the file name with the file which is trying to access actually, or requesting actually. Okay, so this will be our malicious file. Something wrong. Fine. Okay, this is a file name, and I'm storing it. Okay, and as we saw that only the domain name can play the role for us, so no need to copy the entire path. We will just copy the domain name, our server, and we will paste it over here and send this request. Okay, it's missing the cache, so if I hit it again, now it's hitting the cache, which means our response should be stored on the cache server. So see, lab is solved. If you want to see the impact, then I'm refreshing it, and see, there is an alert. So we did it. This impact will be there for at least 30 seconds, as it mentioned that the max range is 30. Okay, after 30 seconds, everything will be flushed from the cache server, and you have to hit it once again. If see, I'm hitting it again and again and again, okay, it ain't gonna work. See, I'm doing this again. See, again and again the response is coming from the cache server, and the age is getting increased. See, I'm removing it. Okay, it's again hitting. Hit once again. Now it's missed the cache. It's missing the cache, which means now there won't be any poisoning. Let's refresh the page. It's not. We cannot see any alert box, not till now at least. Okay, done. So this is our first lab where we utilize web cache poisoning to exploit it with an unkeyed header. Okay, so clearing this all and going for something new. Let me clear the proxy as well, so we can go for the next demo. Our next scenario is season as well. Okay, so number one is solved. Now it's number two. It's in this scenario, we will try to exploit the web cache poisoning using the cookies actually. Okay, so going back to the lab. Okay, okay, so let's read the provided information that it's a vulnerable to web cache poisoning, of course, because cookies are not included in cache key, which means here in our last demo, the X forwarded host header was our unkeyed input. It was not used under the cache key as a cache key. And in this scenario, the cookies are unkeyed input. Okay. So the our cache key. So a user visits the home page roughly once a minute, same scenario, and we have to alert one to solve this lab. Okay. So there is one more thing I forgot to explain to show you. That's a cache buster. Okay, I'm coming into it. Pardon me for this small delay. Okay, I hope it should be okay. There it is. Removing this extra, so we focus on the real one. Okay, so this is our lab, the home page of a target. I'm refreshing it once again. So you know that cache and non-cache response could be here. Okay, so I'm taking the first the response I got from cache for testing, sending it to the repeater. So the thing what I told you is there is a concept of cache buster. We always whenever we try to explain the web cache poisoning, the cache buster is using the cache buster is a good practice, considered as best practice. So what I'm doing is question mark abc is equal to 1. So this value, the abc is equal to 1, is my cache buster. Yes. So I'm sending it to the server and it's again missing the cache. I did nothing. I just add some certain random value in my request, send it, and see my request is considered as unique one. I'm changing it to abcd is equal to 1, sending it. Again, it's missing the cache. So this is the role of cache buster. It's actually make your request unique. So again, sending the plain one. Okay, so now let's analyze this request and response. That there is prod cache 01. This value is getting reflected over here in our response. Okay, is there anywhere else it's reflected? Because it's it's in a JSON format, so maybe there are chances that the same thing could be reflected with somewhere else as well in our response. Let's check. No, nothing. So it's the only place where it's getting reflected. So let's do one thing. Change it to we change it this FE host to something else like x.com. But again, sending it to the server and it's getting reflected. Again, the same scenario we faced in the first one. But now the real deal is that it's inside a JSON response. It's inside a JSON format. So there should be some way to use it, because if I just insert alert 1 here, it ain't gonna impact, or it ain't gonna prompt it. See, sorry, it's hitting the cache, but no need to worry. It's missing. See, it's inside the double quote. So if there is something in JSON inside a double quote, that means it will be considered as a string. Okay, and we don't want our malicious payload to be considered as a string. So what we generally do when it comes to the cache is we try to break the double quotes somehow. So my favorite is abc double quote hyphen and it with the same hyphen double quote. This is my favorite part when it comes to breaking the JSON. Okay, so this is what I do. I utilize. I'm sending and it to the abc alert 1. Okay, and it's reflecting. See, as we try to understand the response, the abc is inside double quote, the alert is outside double quote, and ending with a pair of 2 double quotes. Okay, so let's try to do it. I'm refreshing the page. I think the lab is solved. Let's see whether it's okay. Okay, it's prompting, so we did it. So lab number 2 is solved. Here I didn't utilize X forwarded host or any other header, because it's it was in front of my eyes that the FE host is getting reflected. Apart from that, it's mentioned over here that it's in cache key, and it's sorry, the cookies are the cache key. Okay, so no need to utilize any header over here. So closing it, we successfully completed the two challenges or two scenarios. Now our third scenario. It's this third scenario is using multiple headers to exploit web cache poisoning. Okay, which means switching my gear back to Hindi. अपना एक से काम नहीं होना. Now we have to focus on more, like more headers. Okay, so let's read this theory to understand the lab. I'm opening the lab. So some websites are vulnerable to simple web cache poisoning exploits, as we did. However, other requires more sophisticated attacks and only become vulnerable when an attacker is able to craft a request that manipulates multiple unkeyed inputs. So, what this statement is trying to explain is there could be multiple unkeyed inputs. So, there could be multiple headers which are unkeyed, which means now you have more options to use for web cache poisoning. Okay, if one header is not working as unkeyed input, then you can utilize the other one. Okay, so if if those headers are not working individually, then you can utilize both at the same time or in same request. Okay, so the lab is here, and in lab they said that it supports both the headers, so no need to guess something new. Our efforts are reduced. So let's duplicate the tab, and this is the lab. I forgot to clear it, sorry. Deleting it. Okay, so this is our lab. I'm again refreshing it. See, if you observe one thing during this demo, that I am I'm requesting for the same resource again and again by refreshing the page. So I will get the first request from the main application server, and the second will be from the cache server. Okay, so I will take the cached one and send it to the repeater. Let's take the response. It's perfect. Now what I'll do is we will utilize the three building blocks as forwarded the host as x.com first, the individual one, because we know that as mentioned in the lab over here that there are two headers which are supported as unkeyed input. So we have two arrows for killing there. So the x.com, whether it's responding, reflecting somewhere, x.com, no. So what if we try something else, which is mentioned in a lab, that x, what was that? X forwarded scheme header. X forwarded scheme header. What this header basically do is when there is your request should come from or access the HTTPS request. It's at that point you want to bind yourself that if it's a secure one, then and only then I will accept it or I want. So the X forwarded scheme does that job for us. So it's as per my knowledge. Okay, maybe I could be wrong. So I will fix it or consider it, try to learn if someone else is more good with the headers, of course, because for, as I told you earlier, if you're good with headers and know how these headers works, definitely you're going to win this battle. So let's mention something random, ABC. Okay, and sending this request. So as we can see, when I mention this second header, it's responding with something, and in the response, our X forwarded host value is present. Apart from that, it's redirecting us to somewhere. So it's for sure that what we are requesting, or maybe it's considering that what we are asking for is not coming from the secure or legit connection. Okay, so for that purpose, what I use something like HTTP only. It's doing the same. Okay. When I studied about this X forwarded scheme, I want to let you know that when I studied about this header, if you mention anything apart from HTTPS, okay, you can break this header, the functionality of this header. So what we will do is, here we will again use the same scenario we used in our two demos, that we hosted our malicious content on a website, and then we tried to access it. Okay, so coming to the pub. Okay, there is one more thing I think I forgot to explain. That's okay. That's tracking.json. See, this is the common resource we found during our request and response process, that it's asking for some content. See, it's asking for some GIF file. Okay, so what we'll do is the as per our previous scenarios, we will use this same file path, to exploit this scenario. Okay, so for that I will go to the exploit server. Okay, as they said that we need to alert the document.cookie. We'll do it here. We'll change the file path here. Sorry for this, and we'll store it. It's stored, and we will copy the domain name as we did previously and paste it here. Sorry, replacing the cache. And what I'll do is, for my own convenience, I will use HTTP only. You can use anything. I'm using HTTP, but don't use HTTPS, because if you will mention it over HTTPS, it ain't gonna work for you. Okay, so I think let me just verify the request once again. So for avoiding any issue during the lab. Okay, everything is fine. Then let's send it. It says it's found. So coming over here and refresh it. The lab is not solved, which means something wrong is there. Just give me a minute. I think there should be something with C here. Okay, I think I forgot to utilize a cache buster. Maybe. Of course, I forgot it. Maybe C is equal to 1. Go. Okay. But it's just making my request unique. When I. So, what if. Let's spend with 200, okay. Okay, I think this should work for me at least. Is it found? I think it's gonna work for us. Okay. Okay, it's hitting the cache once again. That's what the issue caused us, I think. It's again hitting the cache. What's the issue here? Okay, I think it's done. Okay, that was the issue. Actually, what I was mistaking here is that I was not hitting my malicious request at the time when the cache server flushing all the things. That's what I told. That's what I said during the session, that you have to look at the very moment when the cache server is flushing all the things. So at this moment it flushed, and the very next second I hit it with the request, which is got stored in the cache server, and and we successfully exploited the issue over here. Okay, so now we exploited 3 scenarios. Now, as per our demo, let's move on to the other scenarios. So first 3 scenarios were like, we just use 3 building blocks for exploiting the web cache poisoning. But there was one more tool I mentioned, which is param miner, and I also mentioned the job of param miner. So it's time to use param miner now, because now consider such scenario that you utilize all these 3 headers, and there is nothing you are finding. There is nothing you are able to find. So in that case, param miner helps you. It actually guesses the header for you. Like, okay, it brute forces the the target for finding out the unkeyed header. Okay, so let's understand the scenario that as it's vulnerable to web cache poisoning, a user visits the homepage roughly once a minute. The user also view many comments on your. The user is also views any comments on your post. To solve this lab, you need to poison the cache with a response that executes alert alert document cookie. And however, you also need to make sure that the response is served to the specific subset of users to intended victim. Sorry. So what the challenge is that first we have to poison the cache, but the impact of web cache, the impact of poisoning should be limited to specific set of users. So now there should be some question that how we can identify that these are the specific set of users. There should be some way to identify that we are getting a request from a mobile device, from a desktop, or from a tablet. So yes, in general cases, the website developer uses user agent for it. Okay, so we can say that we have to use the concept of user agent over here. And before going to there, there is one more thing we'll come across. So let me first let me clear this mess I just spread in the bob. The proxy. Okay, and this is the lab. Okay, so this is the target. We have the as usual an exploit server we will need. So yes, exploit server, there should be your exploit server or your own. You should have a facility to host the malicious content when you are trying to exploit web cache poisoning. It is required because in most of the cases when you try to exploit the web cache poisoning, if you have nothing for hosting, then you can perform it. That's what I came to know during the entire study of this attack. Specific, if I'm being specific, let's view. As they said that there is something for a view post. Okay, so when we view the post, that there as a user can show the comment. Apart from that, there is HTML is allowed. So this could be our hint for solving this lab. Whenever there is HTML allowed, we generally try to perform the accesses. So maybe this could be our one more entry point or something we can utilize for web cache poisoning. Okay, so I'm again refreshing it, and we'll take the cache response, which is here. Okay, we are getting it. We are getting the same response. So as I told you, there is a tool called param miner. So we will utilize that tool over here. Let me just load it in Bob. It's a and for let you know that this tool is free. You can use it in. You can have this extension in community edition or in definitely in professional one as well. I'm clearing it. So for this scenario, the home page is loaded in repeater, and what I'm doing is as you can see that after loading that extension, there is a param miner settings over here. See, this is the configuration section of param miner, where you can customize the param miner as per your need. I already did for during my research, but you can go with the default setting as well. It will help you out because in the in the end, the param miner basically help you to identify the unkeyed input. That's the main intention why James Kettle built this build this tool. Okay, uh, though what changes I made, I would like to explain you. I just did the dummy parameter name change to dummy param. It's not the default one. That's what I did. Apart from that, I used the include the origin cache buster. Then I use this automine header. The canary input is changed to the canary input. It was not the default string, but that's what I did. Apart from that, maybe this add header cache buster. I'm unable to remember, but it was in default setting. Okay, so this is the request, and what is I'm trying to do is now I will guess the header. Whenever you are using paraminer, go with this option first. That's what I recommend, but you can go for anything else as well. Okay, so let's go to the extended tab, and as we can see, one attack is queued. Okay, and there is one more thing that paraminer will take some time to brute force. So yes, we have to hold ourselves. We have to wait for it. So till the time, if there is some question to anybody, can ask me till this point. Is there any question anybody wants to ask me? I'm open to help you out till the time the paraminer find out something for me. It's in progress actually, so that's how I'm asking. If there is something you guys wanna ask me, you can. If not, and if you think you will ask in the end, then please note down on a paper that this is what you want to ask, what you want to ask me. I'll answer it in our Q&A session. It will be great actually. Okay, so it will take some time, so sorry for it, but there is nothing we can do. Okay, so I think you can see my Bob screen. Just a quick confirmation, am I audible? And you can, I think you guys can see the Bob, whatever I'm doing in Bob. Can anybody please confirm it?
Yes, you are audible and we can see your screen as well.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so in Bob, as we can see over here, that there is Bob found something for us. See, it's identified parameter on our domain, which name is origin. Okay, let's come to the target page, and there is one more thing. There is secret input header. This basically shows that what Bob identified for us as unkeyed input. Okay, or unkeyed section of our request. Okay, let's hold for something, because maybe this won't be useful to us. Maybe it's taking too much time, but we have to wait. And there is one more thing. It's X host. So let's go back to the target, and it's showing that cache poisoning, which means this X host header will play the real role for us, because we can say that the X host header will play the role for us. Pardon me if there is background noise. It's a small house. Sorry, I can do nothing about it. Okay, so what I'll do is I will use X host header over here and see whether it's reflecting back in the response. So let's see. Okay, it's missing the cache and it's also reflecting. So the scenario will be the same for us. This hosting scenario will be the same for us, that we have to host it and utilize it. Okay, and uh, let's see what actually in this JS file as well. Okay, because generally when it comes to web cache poisoning, we can never focus on homepage only. There are certain resources which we have to look after, because this is the beauty of web cache poisoning, that the resources such as JSON file or a JS file, you can utilize them for this attack. So this is the beauty, but it is also some sort of hectic job as well, because you have to identify that specific file. Okay, and which is tricky, actually tricky. So I'm sending it to the repeater file, the JS file, and okay, it's with the same response. Okay, so what we'll do is we will copy this path once again. We'll go to the exploit server, paste it over here. Something bad has happened, I think, and the exploit this said will utilize it. Okay, and I will store it. Okay, so the exploit is stored, and what I'll do is I'll use this, and I will insert it in X as a value of X host. This domain name will be here. X host should be here. Okay, so it's right there. So is it gonna do the job for us? Let's say it's dead, but it's half of the task we just performed. What the POTS figure asks us is, we have to target some specific set of users. So we need to identify the user agent over here. Okay, to do that, we will utilize the command section, because as they said that user generally visits the comment section. So for that, what I'll do is I will use the image tag, for uh, this is the one more favorite payload of mine, whatever. Okay, and in place of source, I will use the domain name, because I want to get the user agent value on my server. So that's a way how I can identify the which type of user sending me the request, like it's from mobile device or something. So what I'm doing is, in source, I'm inserting the domain name of my malicious server, uh, ending with some file, and ending the tag, and name test abc.123.com and abc.com. Okay, and posting this command. Okay, it's posted back to blog. So coming back to the blog, our comment is present over here. Now coming back to the exploit server, we can access the log. Okay, so I'm duplicating this tab and accessing the log, to understand that whether it's requested or not. So I'm again refreshing the logs. It's present over there. Okay, I asked for some X value, but it's not present over here. No. maybe there could be something else. But sorry. Yes. So I was trying to access some x value, but I don't know why it's not reflecting over here. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, I think I should come back to the homepage and then try to, target it. Okay, there is one more thing. Okay, the vary header. I forgot to explain about it. Sorry for that. Actually, what vary header do is that it tells us uh, to what the vary header actually tells us that from request which header they are considering as their input. Okay, so let's come to it. That it's rudimentary way that sorry for my English. It's rudimentary way that the vary header is often used to provide an attacker a helping hand. Why helping hand? Because it's normally uh, what it's commonly used to specify the user agent header is keyed. Okay, so user agent header is keyed, which means that it's getting used or processed by the cache server. Okay, so that's why it's present over here as cached one. Okay, so I don't know why, but comment should be able to access the log. It's not over here. Let me remove the payload once again so I can do the real job. Okay. Is there, but okay, I asked for. Oh, wait, I think the extender is, the param minor is causing the problem for me, I guess. Okay, there is one more thing that whenever you are exploiting, if once you found the unkeyed input, just unload param minor because it keeps sending the request again and again. So sometimes it will override the impact for you. So this is one more thing you have to take care of. Okay, alert cookie. Okay, I'm trying to exploit it once again. So maybe some issue there. And because of this, the session is gonna take much time than I expect. I think I made. Okay, now I got the problem. I made a foolish mistake, and the mistake is that in source I forgot to push the mention HTTPS over there. That's a foolish mistake I made. Very bad. Pardon me for that. Because whenever you are requesting for a resource in image tag, okay, you never mention like, okay, the domain name won't play the role for you, and that's the foolish mistake I made. Okay, so this is, I think this is gonna play for us. Play the role for us. Okay, I'm not mentioning the Okay, coming back to, and now let's go to the exploit server. It's containing our payload. We're accessing the log, and here it is, the X vector. So what I'm doing is I'll copy the user agent, because now I have the specific targeted user list who will ask for the resource. Okay, and wait a minute, I think, okay, so this is not the right header, this is the right header, because it was the first request. Okay, so you should be careful when you are reading the user agent value from the log. You should be. And here, with I'm replacing it with the new one, because if I use that this header, it is the same header like the other ones. Okay, so it ain't gonna play the role for us. So it's missing the cache. Now it hits the cache, and see, we solve the lab. It's done. Closing it. Let's refresh it. So I hope you are not getting bored, because this is how web cache poisoning actually will eat your time. But if you are patient enough, definitely you will find something. Okay, now our next scenario is a DOM poisoning. Okay, so before going there, I would like to draw your attention about the JSON, that if you know how to break the JSON, or how the headers also works, then it will be cherry on top. Okay, so let's understand the lab. This is a DOM. There is a DOM based vulnerability as a part of web cache poisoning. A visitor or a user visits the homepage roughly once a minute. Note that the cache used by this lab has stricter criteria for deciding which responses are cacheable, which means when when we are trying to fetch something, the target is keeping eye on it. So there should be some policy which handles the which resource should be fetched, or which request should be made from the server's perspective. Okay, so we will keep this point in mind for ourselves during this session. Okay, and then we have to alert the cookie. So let's do it. Bad habit once again. Okay, so this is our request over here, and as what I do is I'll refresh it for myself. Okay, so if we try to understand this as a recon part, that this is the home page, we have the view details, and there is something new, that is free shipping. Pardon me for the noise, just a minute. Let me uh, I'm sorry for that noise. Uh, this is but it's gonna happen. As we all know, we are in COVID situation, so work from home. Okay, so free shipping to United Kingdom. This is something different because we are unable to click on it, but maybe it could be the place where we can play a role, or we can try to utilize it for exploitation. So I'm using the homepage request to the repeater, and here again I will we can use paraminer over here as well, but for saving our time, because it's too much time I utilize. So what I'll do is I will use x forwarded that host header as a building block. I know I will use x.com as host value and send it. So okay, it's hitting the cache, so it ain't gonna work for us. Okay, it's now it's getting stored on the cache, and as we can see, x.com is here in JSON format. Apart from that, if we scroll down, we can see that it's also getting utilized over here. How I'm saying that, let's understand the structure actually. There is a data, in it there is a host parameter. So this is how it's data dot host, which is coming or getting passed into the init geolocation function. Okay, and apart from that, so we can say that it will be like x.com / the resources JSON, this concatenated with the file, the JSON file. Okay, so what we will do is, let's try to look in that JSON file. Okay, so why they are using the JSON. So geolocation, the JSON is here. I'm sending it to the repeater, and okay, so United Kingdom is in a response as a country value, and as we can see, there's the same thing over here. So this JSON file could be our entry point for exploiting the DOM. Okay, apart from that, there is one more function we can see over here, which is accepting the input. It is init geolocate. Okay, so for that we'll have look at that geolocate function page, the JS file. Over here, if you try to understand that our response, that our constructed x.com resource .json file is getting passed as a parameter, and here if we look at over here, it's using JS, they're creating an element called image, then appending the created element as a child, and they're delivering that value as a variable j.country. Okay, so this is how the statement is getting prepared. Free shipping to United Kingdom. See, free shipping to United Kingdom. So this can actually help us to exploit the DOM. So for that, what we'll do is, first the scenario will be the same. We'll go to our exploit server. Okay, as we know that the x.com, this file is looking for a JSON resource. So now we will change our file to some JSON file, because that's the thing which it's trying to fetch. Okay, and here there will be the payload. Okay, this is the payload we are using. So is it gonna work for us? The answer is no, actually. Why? The pause figure mentioned that note that the cache used by this lab has stricter criteria for deciding which responses are cacheable. Okay, which means there is something we are missing over here. For that, we are coming back to the main page. As we can see that they are using some access control allow origin. What this do is actually used for course policy, we generally call it. So if you use web cache poisoning to make a website load a malicious JSON data from your server, you may need to grant the website access to the JSON course. So by using this on our exploit server, we are actually granting the permission to access our JSON file. But this format doesn't look like the body doesn't look like the JSON file. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll copy the behavior of this JSON file, because as we know that the country parameter is getting used here. So we'll paste it over here, replace the UK, the United Kingdom, with our payload. And for this, and as our target is to alert document.cookie. Sorry for the typo. Document.cookie. Okay. What it ain't gonna work directly. So I'm using image tag. As I told you, it's my favorite one. src is equal to x and on error, because we know it will throw an error, because the source won't it won't be able to find the source. And I think do it, and let's close the tag and store it. Okay, I think it's done. It's stored, and let me copy the domain name. Okay, and as we know that the X forwarded host, this over here, sorry, this X forwarded host is getting reflected. So if I pasted the domain of my exploit server and pass it, it's missing the cache. Now it's getting the cache. So maybe our challenge is solved. It's not. I don't know why. Okay. The image is over here, but it's not responding. We missed something. Access control allow origin star. It's correct. Our file will be this resource JSON. It's correct as well. Wait a minute. I think I forgot something. This is what error. Perfect. No typo. And gone. I don't think so. It's gonna play some role. Okay, and let's try it. It's hitting the cache. Miss. Not hitting cache. It's again hitting the cache. Okay, now it's changed. Okay, alert is prompted, but the lab is not solved. Why? I don't know. It should actually work. This is some issue I generally face when it comes to Portugal lab. Whenever I try to alert something, it stops. Okay, it's solved now. Okay, it's not prompting here that the lab is okay. Now it's done. Pardon me for such mistakes, but it's not from my side. Okay, so now there is our last but not least. It's a combination of all the scenarios we used. So sometimes we have to be more creative when it comes to the exploitation part. Okay, so this is gonna be over here that we have to be some more creative for it. So I'm duplicating this tab as well, and I will try to make finish this as quick as possible, so we can come to the demo part. And there is one more thing in the end of this session, and you will definitely love it. Yes, you will. Okay, so I got to clear it, man. It's 2E. Okay, so I'll keep it and remove this all. Great job. Okay, so as I told you that in this scenario, we will alert the document.cookie, but it will take us to include all the scenarios we just faced. Okay, so as we understand, let's try to understand that it has a feature of changing language. Okay, and let's understand the challenge that a user visits the homepage roughly once a minute, and their language is set to English. To solve this lab, we have to poison the response to execute this cookie. Okay, to do that, let's come to the HTTP history. I'll refresh the page. Okay, so in this case, what we will need is we will utilize the param miner, and it will take time, definitely. So there is one thing for sure, that there will be X forwarded host header to help us, but we will need something else as well. So for that, what I'll do is I'll take the homepage URL and send it to the repeater and use the param miner, load the param miner. Okay, let me just clear it. Okay, clear. Repeater. Okay. This is a section of web cache poisoning I really hate, because it takes too much time to guess the header. But this is what we have to deal with when it comes to web cache poisoning. Okay, so let's wait. It's brute forcing our domain. Till the time, let's see whether the X forwarded host header isn't seen or not for us over here. Okay, let me use cache buster for making this request unique. It's reflecting x.com. Okay, and so yes, it's there to play some role for us. And yes, it's the same scenario, the DOM scenario we just used. Okay, so there is nothing till now. Apart from this, we have seen the facility of changing the language. So let's see whether it contains something for us or not. Okay, so I'm changing the language to understand it better. Okay, and it contains some two new requests for us as well. So what I'll do is I will send this request to repeater as well, because when something changes the response or appearance of your target, which means it could be the potential input section you can utilize. Okay, this is what I read in the Web Application Hackers Handbook. It's really Bible for me for when it comes to web hacking. So that's what it was mentioned in it. So let's come to the extender. Okay, there is something X original URL. It found for us, and in target, it's a secret header for us. So if is if there is coming like cache poisoning, then yes, we can utilize X original URL, or we can't in it. Apart from that, we noticed that in proxy history that there is some JSON file is getting utilized over here. So I'm sending it to the repeater as well. Okay, and it contains some JSON data. So what we did in our previous scenario is we hosted the JSON file. So we will do the same over here, and in that case we use country. We change the value of country of as United Kingdom to our malicious data. We will do the same over here. We'll paste it, but here I will say we'll use this, the Mexican language, the mother tongue of Mexico. It's a Spanish, I guess. Maybe I'm not sure about it, but it's not the point. Here I will insert the payload. That is that image payload. Image src is equal to X, and on error, I will try to alert the cookie, because that's the only way Port Trigger will allow you mention that you solve the lab, and cookie, and finish it. Okay, it's done. And apart from that, as it's a decent data, so we will need that we'll need to enable the course, course policy. So I did it, and the file path will be changed to the JSON file. So because it's the input, the entry point. It was the entry point for us in our previous scenario, so could be in this scenario as well. And I am storing this value. Okay. So I think we did a pretty good thing over here. And let's say let's try to I'm going back to the main URL, English, and so it's done, I guess. And X forwarded host is there, so I'll remove it and use the domain name, or extra domain name. Apart from that, let's come to the target. Okay, it's found something for us, and that's X forwarded host, of course. And apart from this, there is one more thing it found for us. Okay, and that is X original URL. Okay, so now we have okay, as per mention, the X original URL, it's gonna play a role for us. Okay, so what X original URL does is it tells us that the request is originally coming from some resources. Okay, so what we'll do is we will mention it over here, original URL, and what we'll mention over here first. To identify the value, let's try to understand the behavior of the two new URLs we found. if we look at this setlang en, okay, so in this request is okay, I'm coming to the repeater, so I can explain you better. The setlang is actually sending some cookie and some information. In response, it's set cookie, which means in the next very request, the lang es will be supplied, and that's the thing in header, that the next request is localized one. Okay, so in localized, the we requested es, so in localized es will be there. So whatever the response will be, now come under the Spanish language. Okay, let's try to let me do this for you. What I'll do is, instead of es, I will use en over here. Okay, and as I can see, the en is there. Sorry for this interruption. Okay, so what I'm trying to achieve over here is, whenever a user try to access this page, whatever the language is, our exploit should work. So we have to force user to use one specific language, or we have to tweak the cache server, so whatever the request, whatever the region is, our poisoned or our malicious response should be served to them. For that, we have to exploit two things over here. Sorry. One is a response should the homepage value should be cached. Apart from that, we have to cache the language section, this section, the setlang and the localized one, for setting our desired cookie. So what I will do is, I will use the X original URL over here to change the cookie value. The desired one is original -URL. I'll use it, that header over here, and what I'll do is, I'll change the value setlang, and if I mention it es, the value will be changed. It won't consider this, it will consider this, and that's what it happened. There is one more thing about the X original URL, that when we use /, it will use it as a file separator or folder separator. Okay, so if I will go with this, it's changed. Again, I'm doing with the real one. So sorry, it's hitting the cache actually. Let me use the cache buster. Okay, it's changed. I'm removing the cache buster and keeping the ears only. Okay, again it's hitting the cache, not good idea. Okay, it's setting the cookie as yes. Okay, but when I use the /, it's not setting the cookie. Okay, so this is what we are what we will do over here. Okay, and what we will do is, we will use the localized this value, because whenever we change the language, okay, the page is getting refreshed with the localized is equal to 1. So instead of targeting the main home page, we will target this URL and the mechanism of setting cookie. Okay, so for that, I'm switching back to the English, and I will use the X forwarded host header over here. If it's getting too fast for you, then pardon me, because as I'm considering the time limit as well, because there are two more things pending in queue. Sorry, I made a mistake. Localize one. Let me remove this. I send this. It's missing the cache. I mean, it's cached. Okay, and let me remove this first. So using that, but doing something else. Okay, so this should actually solve our problem. Okay, actually, the behavior is changed, but something wrong just happened. Okay, so where is the settling? Original is there. Let me use this as well. So it should be poison now. Lab is not solved yet, but this is page. Sometimes it's reflect like the lab is solved over here, but okay, it's not solved. Well done. It's again hitting the cache. It's missing the cache, and let's see whether it's gonna work for us or not. Okay, there is some issue. Maybe there is some issue. I don't know what the issue is, but something wrong just happened. Okay. Localize is equal to 1. Okay. I think I did the right thing over here. Course is enabled. JSON is there. I don't know what's wrong is happening. Give me a sec for it. Okay, this is correct. This is the complex challenge I faced during this lab, and there could be some issue because let's try to use the solution, whether to understand whether I did everything correct or not, because as per my knowledge, I tried everything correct. First of all, okay. I using okay, this mistake. The param minor. This is the real deal. Everything was right, but this param minor is always gonna be, real pain if you are not removing it once its job is successfully completed. It's always gonna be pain for you. Okay, so now I think it should work for us. Okay, so first what I'll do is okay, JSON, let me just make a quick verification. Okay, JSON is there, translation.json is there, course is allowed, there is a payload for ES, and apart from this everything is good. So forwarded host is there. Okay, now I'll send this request. Okay, let me just remove this first, because now it's time to target the home page. It's cached. now as we know that the set key also plays a role for setting the cookie, and for us it's yes. So now it should work for us. There is some mistake, I think. Okay, no worries. We can do one thing over here. One thing here, that there is one more section in for web cache poisoning. That's implementation, finding flaws in implementation. So if I get a chance, then I will cover this in that session, because I think it's too much time I'm taking for completing this. So I will take this scenario in the other session, but definitely I'll come to this and solve it. So coming back to the presentation, and pardon me for such inconvenience. I don't know why it's not working with me, or there is some problem with the exploitation lab. Maybe it could be. Okay, so I'm coming back to the session and stopping the screen share and sharing the record one only. So application window. Okay, so coming back to the session, I think we are done with demo and how to defend with this attack against this attack. So there are 4 ways. One, avoid using web cache poisoning or disable it. Sorry, avoid using cache or disable the caching. Apart from this, restricting caching to purely static response is always effective, provided you are sufficiently wary about what you are defined as static. Once you identify the unkeyed input in your application, just disable them. And following that, if it's failed, then you can do one thing, that you could strip the inputs at the cache layer and add them to the cache key. Okay, so these are the two things. These are the things for defend as defensive side. And the thing I worked on web cache poisoning is this, the mind map I worked on. So let me just present it, start the presentation. So sorry, transition. Let me sorry, let me go for the full screen. 5. Okay, so I'm directly gonna jump on it. Okay, design flaws. This is what we got, the demo. It's done. Just one topic is one final demonstration is pending, which I'll cover in upcoming session. Okay, so this is the mind map on what I work a lot. Okay, so let's zoom in. This is a diagram of web cache poisoning. This mind map covers everything I studied, from the theory section, like what are the key points, such as the cache buster, and the static. The star marked sections are really crucial. This cache key one is also. So as I said, cache buster is some random value, and the safety static safety is like the safe is equal to 1. That's the only thing I found from James Kettle's video, which he used for avoiding the impact of web cache poisoning. As I told you that earlier, that when you are testing for this, if you are not utilizing such random value, it can affect the other users. So for it, this was the suggestion provided by James Kettle, all the categories of web cache poisoning. Now coming to the tool, you can use 2 BOP extenders. One is paraminer and flow is optional. The param miner's job is also mentioned over here, that it automates the task of guessing unkeyed inputs by observing their effect in response. Now, how to perform it? So the entire methodology is divided in different branches. The identify unkeyed input, then access how much damage you can do with the founded unkeyed inputs. Okay, the headers, common headers, we can utilize for the web cache poisoning. Apart from that, if you have a question that what is this x forwarded, so actually x forwarded is the proxy headers. You can come across like x forwarded host, x forwarded scheme, x forwarded origin. Okay, so these are the proxy headers. Generally, web application developer uses, or the server admin uses, and there are certain bypasses suggested over here. You can use these proxy headers to deliver the impact. If you think that X forwarded host is not working in its plain manner, then you can use domain port. So as I use the X forwarded host is x.com. If it's not working, you can use x.com any port like 8080 or 8090. Okay, but make sure, so keep in mind that sometimes it could lead to DOS attack as well. So it would be like one click DOS something. For prevention, as I told you, the prevention section is over here. The reference in which these are all the blogs I referred during this study, and the videos, of course, and the lab pot figure. Okay, I didn't cover the implementation flow section, which is present in the lab section over here. And apart from this Guru Gyan section, it is one of my favorite section of my own mind maps, because in this section I generally mention all those things which you should keep in mind. Okay, such as the response header I told you earlier, and the information of what vary header does. Then the response get cached depends on some factors, such as these are the factors on which your response get cached, such as file extension, content type, root, status code, response headers. Okay, and these factors are could be defined by the target or from the target side. It's not on your hand. You have to find it out that what are the factors. Okay, and there are other portions you can use. What I'll do is I'll host this mind map on my Git repo, and so you can utilize it for study. I will make certain changes when I go for the implementation flow section and web cache discipline as well. Okay, so I think this is all from my side on web cache poisoning. So now it's Q&A time. I think I took too much time, but this is what I try to deliver my best. So I'm stopping my screen share, and it's Q&A time. So you can ask me anything about web cache poisoning.
So if you have any questions regarding web cache poisoning, you can comment on the YouTube channel here right now. And if not, maybe later on you can get in touch with Mithul. Mithul, I guess you have shared your contact details, right?
Yes, I shared it on main slide.
That will work, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Seems there's nobody like no questions out there right now. Okay, I think we should move towards closure. Mithul, anything else from your end?
No, that's the only thing I think I presented. Apart from this, just for I'm repeating that statement again, that if you really want to exploit web cache poisoning, study headers and try to analyze the cache behavior of the target. Because if these two things you are like pro with, then definitely you will catch something. And Apart from that, there is one more topic: webcache deception, or webcache entanglement. The new topic, the advanced technique of webcache poisoning. Please refer it. It's really amazing. And I would like to specially thank to James Cattle, because he's the one who personally replied on my email and helped me to develop this entire mind map I just represented. So thank you, James Cattle, for helping me in this, and thank you to Ahmedabad for giving me this opportunity for sharing this knowledge. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Mithul, thank you.
Mhm.
It was really a great session. It was in-depth session, and even the presentation and even the demos were really good. And yes, thank you from Null Ahmedabad as well, right? So okay, so basically, like we are not going further with quiz. Maybe in the next monthly meetup, we'll come up with the quiz, and I think that is all. Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you, Mithul, for contributing to Null Ahmedabad. I would also like to give cheer up to Kuldeep, to Malav, to all the chapter leaders, and all the viewers. Okay, and next time we'll be having our meetup in January. Dates will be out soon. Okay, so okay, so have a great day. Enjoy your Sunday. Thank you so much. That is it from Null Ahmedabad. Signing off.